Ready? Thank you. So let me start. I really only have three people from the Kollel here, but because that, I'm really happy to have everybody together. And I wanted everybody to introduce themselves. Of course, I'll start with myself. And I wanted to, I'm from Cleveland. I've been in Yerushalayim for over 30 years. I came to Israel by myself as a young man in 1987. And I'm going to introduce Yehuda Balter, who's here. And he's quiet, but welcome, Yehuda. And Yehuda is from Chicago originally and lived many years in LA. He worked for the US government, and now he lives in Beit Shemesh, where my kollel is. So Eli, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Rabbi. Good morning. My name is Eli Edelman. I made Aliyah with my wife, Linda, 5 years ago. As a matter of fact, it was 5 years ago, almost to the day that I joined the kollel. So it's hard.
Oh, Mazel Tov.
In Mazel Tov. So it's hard to believe that so much time has passed. And it's wonderful being part of Rabbi Ratner's kollel. It's a tremendous chesed and Talmid Chacham, and he knows how to relate to people. My background is I spent about 25 years in the Orthodox Union. The OU is the main kashrus organization in the United States. Has mashgichim in over 100 countries. I have a business background, and just love living and learning in Eretz Yisrael. So welcome.
Thank you, Eli. And I have to warn Aryeh and Alicia, my kollel are fierce Zionists. They're all people that came to Eretz Yisrael, miratzon, from their own will. They had good life in America. And so, they may put it to you like, what took you so long to come to Israel? What were you doing in Europe? And, anyway, it's all in good spirits. Sam, I know your roots, of course, are in Siberia, but tell us a little bit about your background. Sam, introduce yourself, please, if you'll unmute and then tell us. You have to unmute first, Sam. We can't hear you, Sam. You have to unmute, which I know you know how to do. Ellie, okay. Go ahead, Sam.
My name is Sam Anglard, and I'm a man of a few words. Ellie has mentioned almost everything that has to be said, and now it's a pleasure to meet all of you, and welcome to Israel.
Thank you, Sam. I just want to share that Sam is a Polish Yid, but during the Second World War, his family fled eastward to Siberia. And as a child, Sam came from Siberia to the US and spent most of his life in Queens, New York, and made Aliyah. He married an Israeli girl and made Aliyah a number of years ago. How many years ago did you make Aliyah, Sam?
About almost 6 years.
Almost 6 years. Okay, beautiful. Okay.
And I was a Novosibirsk Oblast.
Okay, Novosibirsk Oblast. So we know where that is. Okay, great. So Aryeh, I was once in a business meeting in Israel, and a guy jokingly said, okay, tell us about yourself. Start from your bar mitzvah. So you don't have to necessarily start from your bar mitzvah. I don't know if you had a bar mitzvah, but we do want to hear your story and how you got involved. And I know, decided to make a bris milah at a certain point, and about your life in Kiev and coming to Israel. So we want to hear your story. Before we start, though, I see that Aaron came on board. Let's see if he opens his screen. Good morning, Aaron. Shalom Aleichem.
Okay, Tov. I apologize. The mind isn't what it used to be. My wife reminded me, but I have to drop her off. I'll be gone for like 5 minutes, but I'll be right back.
Okay, Aaron. We have two guests that don't know everybody. So we just made a round of introductions. So go ahead and just introduce yourself. Tell us when you made Aliyah and what you did and everything like that.
My wife and I made Aliyah in 2005. We had already had 3 children, 2 children here. One followed us subsequently. We have 1 daughter in the States, and we have Belia and her, all our grandchildren here, and we are very happy to be here. And one of the highlights of my Aliyah was participation in the kollel. That was a joy I did not anticipate.
Thank you, Aaron. Lawrence, nice to see you. Shalom Aleichem. Welcome.
Shalom.
You're just in time to introduce yourself. We're making a round of introductions, and now the ball is in your court.
I've I'm from London. We've been here 10 years. We came straight to Bet Shemesh. We were advised that there is a senior English-speaking group here. Admittedly, I had to learn American, but that's beside the point. We're very happy that we came to Bet Shemesh, and even more happy that I have the opportunity to take part in a kollel such as this every morning, which is a great success for me. I have two daughters living here, one in the Gush, one in Modi'in. Nahariya, 9 grandchildren. We have a bas mitzvah this Shabbos in the Gush.
Mazel tov. So nice. Okay, thank you, Lawrence, for your introduction. Thanks, everybody. So I think Aryeh and Alicia, you got a sense of who's in the meeting. So with that, I turn it over, Aryeh, to share with us whatever you'd like to share.
Me?
Go ahead, Alicia, just introduce yourself too, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
My name is Alicia or Alexei, as you see at my picture. I come from St. Petersburg, I think a month and a half ago, just as the war started. I started to think about this, and a friend that I was meeting a week before, he told me that he's leaving, and there is a danger that they may bring you to the army to fight against Ukraine. That's ridiculous. So I decided to immediately move to Israel, as I planned for many years. And I'm in love with Israel. I'm in love with Israel, and more for 10 years. I was dreaming to make Aliyah, but there was not enough courage. And thanks to our president, he gave me an impulse to leave Russia.
Alicia, I'd like to share with you a Gemara in Megillah. That's the words in Hebrew are Gedoyla Hasaras Hatabas Yoiser Mimemches Neviim. And the translation is, greater is the transfer of the signet ring of King Ahasuerus that he gave to Haman Harasha. When he gave him that power to basically dispose of the Jewish people, it had more impact on the Jewish people to arouse them to Yiddishkeit and to make good Jewish decisions than all the words of the prophets. Yes. So Putin is the same type of thing. He's like Haman Rasha, and his evil and this evil war that he's making, this unprovoked international crime against Ukraine, but it provoked you and many others to fulfill your dream of making Aliyah to Eretz HaKodesh. So that's a good thing, Baruch Hashem.
Thank you.
So welcome. Aryeh, I see you're on the move. Where are you going?
You talk to me?
No, I see that Aryeh's moving in Nahariya for one.
Yes, slicha.
Okay.
Because it's really noise. It's really noise there, and a lot of noise. And I try to change my location.
Okay.
Maybe try to see it there.
Okay, so while you try to get settled, let's hear from Alicia. Alicia, tell us more about your background, your Jewish background, your Jewish education, and tell us about your profession as a musician.
Rabbi, can you tell us how you met these gentlemen?
Sure, I'll be happy to give that part of the introduction. So, we were together as a kollel. We celebrated a siyum, approximately Rosh Chodesh Nisan, or the very last, days of Adar. And you know, at that time, I had just sort of canceled my plans to travel to Poland, to be with refugees there, and we were trying to get something organized to do something here in Israel. And one thing led to another. We were sort of researching the sugya of what we could do and how to do it. And we thought of this, that, and we got in touch with people that were doing things and so forth. And my wife is she's a bulldozer, basically. She's wonderful, and she has almost magical powers to organize things and make things happen. And so within an incredibly short amount of time, we found we had the opportunity to make a Pesach program and the plan was basically to reach out between 80 and 100 individuals over the Pesach holiday. We ultimately had 3 groups of guests. We had to find a place, the people, and the funding all within essentially 72 hours, around 10 days before Pesach. And it all happened. It was sort of miraculous. But again, it has to do with my wife's savvy. So the first days of Pesach, we had the first group of approximately, we had like 14 hotel rooms, and my family took up 4 or 5 of them. So we had around 10 hotel rooms for the guests. And then we were able to get some more hotel rooms. They threw it in basically because it's a boutique hotel in Netanya called El Yam. And it's an interesting place. They have very nice grounds. And for us, it was very conducive to what we wanted to do. You can see I have a good tan, and everybody in my family has a good tan. And it's not that we spent so much time on the beach, because we didn't, but we had no indoor space except our bedrooms that were small. So our shared space was outdoors, and it was like a big tent. And it was like Avram Avinu's tent. It was open on all sides, and everybody could come and go at all hours of day and night. And I played host, and my wife was the hostess, and she listened to everybody's story and shared counsel, and we just welcomed everybody into our tent. And we had a chef who was cooking 3 meals a day for us. And I was the mashgiach, so my sons and I kashered the kitchen. And it was a constant war because they were Sephardim, so they think kitnios are kosher. And so I can't tell you how many times they did put kitnios on the table, or they tried to, or thought to, and I had to keep all my eyes and ears open to try and keep that out of our kitchen. Anyway, so Aryeh and his family, I picked them up at the train station Erev Pesach in Netanya. He has a wife and 2 lovely daughters. And in fact, Aaron, you saw his daughter in that lovely dress that you donated. Her name is Ilana, and she's a really cute girl. We love Ilana so much. And so we had 3 families, basically. Aryeh is from Kiev. We had a family from Odessa and another family from Moscow. We had a number of students, actually both men and women, at the Seder. And so the Seder was conducted in a mixture of Hebrew and Russian. And I'm actually comfortable with that because I grew up doing the Seder in English. Like we used to read, when you get to the part of Yossi Galili, we used to read him as Rab Jose from Galilee. So, I'm used to that. And so our Seder, everybody took turns reading, and most of the people read in Russian, it was great. Everybody felt, included and part of the action. They stayed until Sunday or Monday, and then on Monday.
Sorry for interrupting. How did you connect with these specific people?
Good question. I don't know the whole answer. Again, it has to do with my wife is social and really connected to people who run programs and who do recruiting for Russian schools in the Ukraine. So she had a list of people, and my wife got connections through Jewish community organizers, basically, a number of directions. That's how we found these people. And Aryeh has a funny story where we reached out to him, and at first he thought the program was going to be in Nahariya. So, okay, it's in Nahariya, and he's up in Nahariya, so that was like a no-brainer. And then he found out it's in Netanya, and that was a harder sell for his wife. He was ready to come, his wife not so much, but he was able to make the sale, and he came, and we're so glad he did because he's wonderful, and we really love meeting his family. So somehow or another, we met all these people. Some of them are from a Jewish program called Olami, and they were from like sort of Jewish programming and outreach and education for young people in Moscow. So there was a whole group of them. There's a Rabbi Grossman who has like a yeshiva and a seminary in Yerushalayim who has recently absorbed new immigrants. So we reached out to him. So again, through phone calls and WhatsApp and emails, we got lists of people that might be relevant, and that's how we found the people. We had our second group of people were mostly high school girls. You saw the pictures in my folder. That's from Beit Ulpana, which is, we've had a relationship with them for 20 some years. I daven there Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. My wife has taught there. And so we were able to give them our facilities and host them. It was we did some great programming because they have absorbed girls now from the Ukraine. In fact, there were 2 girls from Bucha, which is where those massacres occurred. And you could see these girls were traumatized. and they were like apathetic and withdrawn and did not want to participate in any of the programming. But you know how mitzvah gereris mitzvah, we had volunteers who came and did programs with the young ladies of like dancing and music and art therapy sort of. And one of the ladies did like a laughter workshop, and she really got everybody laughing. And even these two girls who were really withdrawn, she was able to bring them out and to do things. And then the art therapist got them to make a flag of Ukraine. And she asked, do you want to make a flag of Israel? And they said no, but they would make a flag of the Ukraine. So we were able to really to touch them and to do something good for them. So that was great. And then the last 3 days of the holiday, Erev Yom Tov, Friday and Shabbos, we had another group. And this time we had a group of yeshiva guys who were in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, maybe even 50s, from Rabbi Grossman's yeshiva in Ramot. And again, some other families came. And so Elisha was from that group. And so I got to hear him play Motzei Shabbos, his guitar. He plays beautifully. As I said, he's a professional musician. And so this was our program. We reached in all around 80 some or 100 people. And again, it's key to understanding what's going on in history, that besides basically the physical destruction of Ukraine and all the refugees from Ukraine, which I understand are approximately 4 million, but anybody with any sense, and especially Jews, but particularly the intelligentsia, needs to leave Russia now. Forget the devaluation of the ruble, but you just have a regime that's oppressive and taking more and more power and becoming more and more aggressive in its totalitarianism and forcing people to support its violent abuses in a really vocal way. And if you're not for them, you're against them. And so I don't know, you don't read about it so much, but oligarchs are dying because people who do not want to support him, they are basically, they're on the bad list, and it's bad. So it's a really good time to get out of Russia. So we had a number of families and people who just recently, like Elisha, made their decision to fulfill their dream and come to Eretz HaKodesh and leave Russia behind. And I think that's so important. I consider, I said, telling your life story, start from your bar mitzvah, but my life story I consider starts in 1898. And of course, I wasn't born in 1898, but that's when my great-grandfather came to America. And that's when I feel my family story really starts. When you leave the old country and you start a new life, whether it's in America or in Israel, but that's when, the other part is prehistory. It's important, our Eastern European roots and everything, but there's so much oppression and stuff there that your life begins when you leave that behind. Lech lecha mi'artzcha mimoladcha mibeitz avicha, and you start your new life be'eretz asher areka, in the new land, lifnei Hashem. So that's what I feel about Aryeh and about Elisha, that they're beginning a new life here. And so I wanted to hear and share their story of the old world and what they've witnessed there, and help us understand sort of the situation. So it looks like, Aryeh, you found a quiet place now in the bamboo tent. So Aryeh, would you share your story, please?
Let me just say, Bruchim Habayim.
Yes, good.
A little story about me, about my family. I was born in Zaporozhye. It's industrial city. It's industrial city. We have a lot of metallurgy factories. Most of all my life, I lived in Zaporozhye. And after graduated from the institute there, I met my wife, my future wife, and we decided to marry. But it was a really interesting story, because we have our friend. She's named Olga, and she knows my wife. They are friends, and she's my friend too. But she decided to make. Do you hear me?
Yes. What did she decide to do?
She decided to introduce. 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 She de my wife to me and me to my wife, and it was like shidduch, but she's not a Jewish woman. Yeah, but it was crazy. And after a little time, we decided to marry, and now we have two daughters. Yeah, and after this, we decided to move to Kiev, because my wife studied in Kiev, and we decided to move. I think we had a normal life in Kiev, not so rich, but it really was normal. And our children went to Jewish school. We have a lot of communities, Jewish communities in Ukraine, in Kiev, but our school Simcha situated like art school, yeah. And but girls and boys, they studied together. Children went to this school, and we have a synagogue there, this school, and we could go to Shacharit, read Torah, Monday and Thursday. Sometimes I can go there to Shabbat, but 7 kilometers, it's really a big distance, and usually I use this distance in Yom Kippur, because it was day when I decided that this day no work, no actions, only prayer. But the problem was that I wanted to keep Shalom Abayit, and that's why after Yom Kippur started, I went home and be with my wife, and early in the morning I came back to 7 kilometers to Beit Knesset, the synagogue. It was my choice, but I decided to do that. I changed my work. I'm like engineer, metallurgy engineer, foundry. Yeah, but I worked like a sales manager a lot of years, and after this, I went to go to high tech in Ukraine. And some years it took me some years to get there, and now I'm quality assurance engineer. It was a great win for me, because I'm not so young man for this. A lot of people who work with me, they are 20 years, 21, 22 years old, but I am 36, and it's really like Saba for them, yeah. But it's my story, and everything was okay. We thought there, but when the war began, we were already in Turkey. Yeah, my wife was very nervous, and we decided to fly away. But you see, we are not like a religious family. I try to be religious man, but my wife, she doesn't want. I think she needs time. I think so, and but I think my wife was very nervous. Yeah, and we decided to fly away. And 10 days before, before the war, yeah, we bought tickets and booked accommodation. And week before the war, we flew to Turkey. I think my wife has a connection with God. I think so, because it was really a miracle. It was really a miracle to decide to fly to Turkey, because our friends thought that we are crazy. Why? No war. It's really, you are crazy. You're a crazy family. Why you decide to go to Turkey? Oh no, Turkey, it's like holiday in summer, not now. But my wife was very nervous. She was very nervous, and I decided to hear her, yeah, to listen to her, and we really bought tickets and booked a flat, and a week later the war began, yeah, and it was very terrible to know this news, to hear this news, and I think my wife, because of my wife, I survived. You see, since a law was passed that a man between 18th and 60 years, it was forbidden to cross the border for men because of military service, and
Even if you had children, was there an exemption if you were a father of children, Aryeh?
sorry.
I asked if a person had 2 children, was there an exception that he could get out? Was there something like that?
Yes, our children with us, and it was. I think they. We told them about the war, yes, but if you speak about feelings, they really don't know everything about this war. If you speak about feelings, and but I think they are nervous too, because they now they want to come back to their school, to their big Arba Hadarim flat, and
Aryeh,
they
I'm going to interrupt you because at 10 o'clock there's going to be a siren for a minute or two in commemoration of Yom HaShoah.
okay.
So we'll stand and you know
Okay,
when that happens. So I'm just giving you a warning on that.
Okay. Hey, this story. Okay, maybe I can go on after the sound.
Aryeh, the siren and your story, they make me think about a question. What do you feel in terms of Ukrainian patriotism? And how did you feel as a Jew living in Ukraine? And of course, today Zelensky is a Jewish leader of the Ukraine. But what was your experience, growing up in Zaporozhye and so forth?
Uh, I think there really is patriotism in Ukraine, and President Zelensky had the opportunity to be evacuated after suggestion from President Biden, but he decided to be his country, and I think it's great patriotism, and a lot of people told that it was really patriotism decision, and a lot of people like them. Before the war, a lot of people didn't like president, but he's really a youngest. I think he's youngest president in our history, and I think he's from he person from people. He person these people. He now a lot of feelings, a lot of warm feelings. This president. Some people thought that if there would be other president, maybe it wouldn't fall in Ukraine. But I don't think so, because it's really decision from Putin, and this decision was maybe some years ago was in his mind, I think so. And that's why it's not a problem to be a president in Ukraine, but it's a problem to be a patriot. A lot of people, they are like soldiers now, but a lot of them never use automatical weapon, I think so, weapon at all. But I think in Ukraine's really patriotic. Patriotic. Sorry for my English. I try to do my best. But usually I can't practice, and that's why I thank you for listening to me. Yeah.
Where did you learn your English?
A little at school, maybe some courses, but if you have no practice, it's a problem to know English. Yeah.
Same thing
now
in Hebrew.
I have a great practice. Pardon?
Same thing in Hebrew.
Okay. Korim li Aryeh. Yeah. Some words in Hebrew.
Aryeh,
Yeah.
tell the group this story about your flight from.
You see, we changed during months and a half. We changed 4 countries. After Ukraine, we were in Turkey. After Turkey, when we were in Turkey, we decided after months in Turkey, we flew to Poland, to Warsaw, to go through a document check, this consul there. And after this, we decided to go to Israel, and it was really a miracle because we met a woman. Her name is Miriam Adelson, and she decided to evacuate us, and she took us to her own flight. It was a really great flight, only for 30 places, and a lot of gold inside this flight cover, and we were without shoes. Because carpet for inside the flight. It was really a miracle.
Aryeh, I want to share. The Yemenites came to Israel on a magic carpet, but Aryeh came on Sheldon Adelstein's private jet.
It was private jet. It was private jet, and I slept in a leather chair. It was, and we were fit and
Got a free
herself.
upgrade.
It was really a miracle. And we had Wi-Fi at this flight, and it's really new information for us, because we know that in our flight no Wi-Fi, no leather chairs, and no carpet in our flight. They are dirty. I know this flight not bad. This flight not bad, but Miriam's flight, it was a really great flight. I think it's the longest small private jet in the world. Yeah, it was really a miracle. Now we are in Israel. We want to be in the center of this country, but when we go in airport, we go to Teudat Oleh, and after this they decided to, no places in Jerusalem hotel. You have an opportunity to go to Nahariya or Nazareth. Oh no! But we decided to be in Nahariya because of Rokevet, and we are there during the month. Yeah. But tomorrow we are going to Holon to our relatives, and but I would like to thank to Jonathan and to Anna, because I think this Passover it was the best Passover Seder in my life. Really, I felt at home in a family. It was a lot of feelings because of this family, because of this Seder, and I really great God. Really want to say thank God to meet this family, and I think it can change our life because of feelings, because of our Seder Pesach. Yeah, it was really a miracle. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arya. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing your story.
Like in Avraham, yeah, it was like miracle.
Right.
This Avraham.
Tent of Abraham.
How did you get out of
Abraham? Tent of Abraham.
How did you get out of Ukraine into Turkey?
We decided to do it because we were talking more than 10 times, and we know this country, and my wife likes this country. She likes it very much, and we every year we had holidays for 2 weeks at this country, and we decided to go because it's really cheaper than to be in Israel, to be in Europe. It's a really cheaper country.
Did you drive? Did you fly?
But I don't. We fly.
It was right before the war, Aaron. His wife was nervous about the war.
It was before the war. It was a week. Yes, it was a week before the war, and that's why we could do it.
You didn't believe Putin when he said we're not going to invade.
We didn't believe Putin at all, but this time I believe my wife.
That's always
smart move. Smart move. Yes.
Thank you,
Smart
Arya,
move,
so much.
yeah. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much for English.
Yes. Alicia, it's your turn. We want to hear your story. We know it's a little different because you made a decision to come from Russia. I would like you to share what's going on in Russia and how you got involved in Yiddishkeit and so forth. So go ahead, share with us, please.
I think my story of my Yiddishkeit is quite standard because
he did what HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Avraham Avinu. Kol ma she'tomer Sarah shema b'kol, but he listened to it.
Right. And it's
my history, my personal history is quite standard because it started from my Taglit trip, and I felt that atmosphere is really for me in Israel.
I didn't know Taglit is bringing people from Russia also.
What?
I thought it was only from Western countries.
no, also Eastern countries.
Wow. Okay, great. Good to know.
Arya also came on a Taglit trip, I think, or Masa or something like that.
It
Yes,
was
yes.
yes, yeah.
All the
I was at
Soviet
the
countries, there are all the Jewish programs that are in other world.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've felt very inspired of Israel, and I started to, from this point, I started to explore the root of it, and quite quite soon I came to studying of Torah, and I also fell in love with Israeli jazz music, and it maybe showed me that there is a perspective of being a musician in modern world, because everything I loved in the musical world was at least 20 years old.
Hmm.
And you really have to have some modern movement that then you can be part of. And my music is very inspired of Israel and Israeli jazz, and now I came here with hope to make a project with Israeli jazz musicians, and I think it has to be quite easier for me, with my taste and with my feeling, with my attitude, to make an ensemble here than in any other country.
Mhm.
And what was your second question?
Tell us how you talked about how Putin helped you make your decision to come to Israel, but explain to the people a little bit about what's going on in Russia.
It's a strange regime in Russia, because it is it's a hybrid regime, as political analysts call it. So from one side, it's totalitarianism or authoritarianism, but in fact, it stands on the fact that people are completely out of the politics, and the main work of political technology in Russia is to get people out of the politics, to make them not think about their democratic power, and so on and so on. So just let the leaders to make decisions and not talk. And for maybe for first 10 years, it was along with growing of the prices for oil and gas and so on. So it even looked quite nice. So people, especially in big cities, lived quite well. There was no a lack of food or something like in Soviet Union that was just several 20 years ago. And so relatively good life, and especially and even there was an opinion, and I even don't know what to say against it, that it was maybe the best period of Russian history.
That's fascinating. Alicia, let me interrupt for a minute to share a personal story between you and me. When Pesach ends, the Vilna Gaon had a custom to make Havdalah on beer because he wanted to show that he was only not eating chametz because of the mitzvah. The Torah says you can't eat chametz. So as soon as the mitzvah's over, he wanted to go ahead, and I don't think he had a taiva to have a beer that doesn't fit the Vilna Gaon. But he wanted to show that, okay, if the mitzvah's over, I'm already making Havdalah on beer. So that's what he did. And of course, he could buy it from the Goyim in Vilna, so it wasn't a problem. So in a Pesach program like ours, the custom is Motzei Pesach to order pizza. And, my kids at home also like to order pizza as soon as Pesach is over. We haven't had pizza, we haven't had bread, we haven't had chametz. So we celebrate the end of Pesach by ordering pizza. And it's not exactly the Vilna Gaon, but it's, same idea. Anyway, so the hotel told us that they're going to bring us pizza the night after Pesach ended. And I said, very nice. Well, it was 10 o'clock, it was 11 o'clock. By the time they delivered the pizza, it was literally 12:20. It was after midnight. And I felt bad because I had told people there was going to be pizza. And I know it wasn't really the hotel's fault. The pizza places in Netanya were jam-packed because all the French Jews there also wanted to eat pizza. So at 12:20, we were only 3 or 4 people who were still awake. And Alicia was one of them. And they gave us 10 pizzas, which was more pizza than we needed. And they had all crazy toppings on them, tuna and corn and whatever else. Like, they weren't even appealing to me. But I had to eat one just because it was Motzei Pesach. But what was interesting to me was that, and Alicia, you don't know this, but a number of the people in my kollel had visited the Soviet Union in the 80s. So I know Eli Edelman had been to the Soviet Union, and I know Yehuda Balter had been to the Soviet Union. I was in Russia in 1995 and 96. But I know that both in the 80s and in 1995, 96, there was no pizza in Russia. Not even in Moscow, the big city. There just wasn't. There wasn't that aspect of Western consumer culture and restaurants, and it was absent. It did not exist. But I noticed when the pizza arrived, you had eaten pizza before, and you were accustomed to eating pizza in Petersburg, in Russia. And so,
in my early childhood, maybe so it was like 1995 and more when I was when I can remember what was there. Maybe they opened Pizza Hut at the middle of 90s, but I remember that it was a kind of a luxury.
Right. So I like what you said. It was like a golden age of Russia. There was now, a decade of sort of living good. There was some westernization and international businesses and cars and restaurants and clothing, especially in the big cities, like you said, Moscow and Petersburg. I think in the back, in the smaller places, not so much. But in the big cities of Russia, life was sort of livable, and people could have a job and earn a living, and it was okay. And Putin, like you said, they tried to keep people out of politics. Let us run the country, and we'll let you live your life. But that balance is now changing, and they're becoming really aggressive. And the totalitarianism and the authoritarianism are now, presenting themselves in people's lives. And I'll just share a fact that I know all the Jewish schools, both Chabad and non-Chabad, so like the Eitz Chaim school in Moscow, which is under Pinchas Goldschmidt, they were forced to put out a letter in support of the war in Ukraine and supporting the regime and everything it does. And if they won't send that letter home to their parents, then their doors will be closed. So you have the Jewish leadership being forced into a position of essentially subjugation and support for a wicked, murderous regime that at the threat of the existence of the Jewish community, they have to become accomplices to the war crimes of the regime. It's a terrible situation.
Yeah,
And
really.
so one has to wonder at a certain point if they're not going to have to say, we can't do this anymore. And then what's Putin going to do to them? Then what'll happen to the Jews in Russia? It's my opinion that the Federation and Jewish philanthropies should now be assisting all Russian Jews to get out of Russia as soon as possible, because the future, I think, there for the short to middle term is very bleak. Alicia, do you agree or disagree? What do you think?
I always try to be an optimist, and what I felt at 24th of February when I read the news that he has begun the war, it was like a face palm. It was not fear or tragedy. I was like, oh no, yeah. Because the main thing in this decision is the stupidity of it, because it ruins everything, and it's he just made a count back for his life and for his regime, because it looks like an addict, a freak jumps of the window. Because because of his courage at this time. So the same thing about Putin. So I think it won't be long. And as a very old tradition in Russia, soon will come a new regime that would will be against the previous regime. If you know Russian history, especially in 20th century, when every next leader was starting from accusing the previous one. So I think something will gonna be soon, because it's I think it's very unnatural for this time in the world to make such wars, and to and it's also a problem. Maybe if you have heard the term, our Russian propaganda uses Russian world. So they are speaking that they bring Russian world to every place, to Ukraine, to Moldova, to other countries, but it's an imitation of what communists would do. But there is a slight difference, that communists had an idea, and Putin doesn't have any idea. So it's like a postmodern regime. So I think it falls very soon.
Okay, from your mouth to God's ears, that it should fall very soon, and it should be the end of these terrible times.
And I wish and pray of less victims of this.
Of course, yes, we all share that prayer. Okay, I want to thank you so much, Alicia, and I want to thank Aryeh for sharing your stories and your insights. If anybody has anything they'd like to say in closing, otherwise I'll wrap it up. I thank everybody for being here. I'm traveling next week.
Like to wish them much hatzlacha in their klita.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah.
Man,
If there's anything that we can do to help, please let us know.
Okay, nice offer.
Ta-da.
You should take them up on that.
תודה רבה.
Toda lachem, toda Aryeh, toda Alicia, and thanks everybody. I'll look forward to seeing you. I think I said it was Wednesday in May that I get back and we'll start up the regular schedule. So I'm looking forward to that. Thanks for sharing today.
In
So
person.
that's
Thank you very much.
2 weeks from yesterday.
2 weeks from yesterday, that sounds right. Lawrence, let me get back and get clearance from, the COVID test and everything. And then Bezrat Hashem will start in person some days a week. Bezrat Hashem, okay?
I'm going to the States on May 9th for 2 weeks plus, see my mother and my
Okay.
daughter. So I'll
Very
catch
good.
you on the other end.
I'll see you in the sky, maybe.
Yeah. We'll wave.
Be well.
So,
Be well.
Well,
Be well,
bracha
everyone.
v'atzlacha,
Take
everybody.
care.
Thanks so much for being
Take
here.
care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
Bye.
Hatzlacha Rabbah.